logo. And there's a video, because everybody has a video, so let's go to the video. So, hi. Most of you already know our brand. We're the best sports brand in the world. We're very, very passionate, really enjoy the history and the rich history we come from. And like I was saying, we were just talking about all these amazing things, all these connected devices and all these wearable technologies and virtual reality and all this stuff. And actually, last time we were here, my CEO, very inspirational person, he was here talking about some of the technology that we have. And some of that technology was microchips that we have in balls, and we can actually put stuff in your shoe, and we can strap things on you, and we can see at such a data-rich level what's exactly going on with our consumers. But we've already talked about that, and it's already out there. And somebody, and I have a horrible memory, somebody was saying that even virtual reality is 20 years old. So we're talking about what exactly? And that's not why I'm here today. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff, and in fact, from this point on, I actually want to take off my stripes, and I'm not here to represent Adidas. Somehow, because of my title and the company I work for, I become some subject matter expert. And I'm here to talk to you about why are we all here? Why is this committee put together? Why is everybody here? Why are all these people talking? Where's all this technology coming from, and what is it we're trying to accomplish? And so most people in the room, if you don't already have a team, you're probably talking about how do we put together a digital transformation team? What is digital transformation? Our competitors are doing it. We're doing it. We should be doing it. We should be in all these different areas. The reality is most people think they know what it is, but it's subjective. It means different things for different people. And I guess the ultimate question is, why transfer at all? Why change what it is that we're doing, and why go into different areas, and why focus on different things? Why change our entire company as structure? And we were talking about it earlier with television. We faced the same challenges back in the 50s when the television came out that we're facing now. Oh, there's this new disruptive technology. What do we do with it? How do we wrap our minds around this? And then all this advertising agencies came into place, and they're doing giant takeovers and all these different questions that we're still asking ourselves. How do we monetize from it, and how do we make money from it, and so on. So hi, my name is David. I'm not going to talk about myself, so you can insert whatever you want. And that's actually part of my social feed. So if you want to check me out, you can probably find me on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Twitters and all those things. Actually, don't go on Twitter. I'm not very active on there. And I'm here to talk to you about Tales from Planet Digital. And the first thing we need to understand about this world and this transformation is it's not really a thing. And it's not really a thing we can influence that much if we force it. It's a culture change. And it's a culture change that's deeply rooted in the way that we solve problems to the way that we address those problems. And a lot of people were talking about that today. And I don't read slides, but I'll read the bottom part. Digital is the only medium that can reach almost all buyers in all markets all of the time. Somebody dared me to talk about mobile phones. So everybody in the room who has a mobile phone, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, because most of you have two. But you're connected all the time. And that's a good thing. It's a really, really good thing, but it has a lot of challenges because everybody's sitting here saying, how do we manage content? How do we get the right content to the right people? How do we understand what the consumer wants? How do we manage with multiple markets, with multiple languages? You talk to me, please translate this article into French. I say, which French? There's French in France, there's French in Canada, there's French in Haiti, and there's multiple different type of dialects of the same one. And in those cultures, I want to see and understand and hear different things as well. So I'll just take a step backward for a second. This is actually part of an onboarding process that I do internally with a lot of my team members, well, actually all of my team members. And this is a slide that I wish, well, actually the source is right there. I was going to say I wish I knew who made it, but the source is right there. And it's something that I'm sure a lot of people already in the room have seen, but in 2015, the world has changed, and everything is being disruptive, and I love it. So Facebook is the most popular media owner and creates no content. So Alibaba, and for those of you who don't know it, you should go out and look at it. It's the largest marketplace in the world, and they actually don't own stuff. Uber, everybody here knows Uber, but Uber is one of the best services I've ever used, besides from the Audi service that brought us here today. And Airbnb, they thought I was hilarious. Airbnb is also the largest real estate company in the world and owns no real estate. And everybody's like, yeah, I've seen this is cool. But the question I have for all of you, and the question I have for myself is, what does a future for a company like ours that makes products, without naming the company I work for, what does that future look like if tomorrow we made no products? If you are a Sky, and tomorrow you no longer work in the space that you're in, you're no longer diffusing content across of your networks, what are the opportunities, or a Shell that no longer has petroleum in the future? How can you still monetize, and I said the word monetize, I can't believe I said that. Anyways, how can you monetize the relationships with your consumers? What's the value added that you could bring to your consumers along the way? And everybody in this room, and the reason why you're in this room is because you have to take this seriously. Because the biggest threat for banks in the future aren't other banks. The biggest threat in the future for banks, like if tomorrow, if Google was to say, if you do advertising on YouTube, and instead of cashing in your check every month, we'll invest it in some long-term savings account, and you could do it, or Microsoft was just here, and they also have their own ad network, and these are the real types of threats and challenges to different users, if you look at it this traditional way. And the weird thing is I've seen it, and now we really live in this omnipresent / insert buzzword here type of lives where our online and offline lives coexist and overlap, and now they're indistinguishable. 5 years ago, 3 years ago, most of us already had social media accounts. And probably the persona that we had on those social media accounts was very different to our real lives. Maybe you're a little bit more badass, maybe you're a little bit more friendly, maybe you're sharing things about things you didn't really care about. But today, that's, at least for myself, it's gone. My persona has become the same everywhere. Even myself, Brand David, has become everywhere. I think I pressed this. I'll press it again. And so, the question that has been asked over and over again, how do we monetize from products? And I'm not poking at anybody here, it's just a belief. Traditionally, we make products. Not me, us. We make products, and we're obsessed with them. And in order to sell those products, we spend money, millions, hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of euros a year to do marketing. And based off of the data from marketing, it influences future product development. And however that worked out, it'll influence future product development, and then we're going to spend more money to try to sell those products, and based off of the marketing. And that market could go up or down, and based off of what's happening right now in Russia or wherever, it might influence future product design. Really? Do I want to have all of our products being decided by marketing results or what area we should go into? And recently, I was in London. I'm not in London, I'm in Berlin right now. But recently when I was in London, I was at the Adobe conference, and they blew my mind. they started talking about something that's fundamental to everything we do and fundamental to the digital transformation that all of us are trying to achieve. Yes, we make products and we do marketing and we do all this stuff, but the reason why we can't influence it more than how the general market is working out is because in all of there's no consumer. The consumer and the consumer experience is completely forgotten. And the consumer experience is your brand. And the brand sets the tone and manner for the consumer experience everywhere. And it's important because people will line up for a good experience even in economical recessions. Somebody was just talking about Apple's new release. Let's not focus on the pen because Steve Jobs is rolling in his grave, but everything else was really cool. Apple understands what their brand stands for and understands how the consumer experience should be at every single touch point. I'm guessing some people in this room have Apple products. When you open up your box for your new phone, it has a certain feel to it. The paper it's printed on. That when you walk into the store, it has that Apple feel to it. When you watch the TV, it's everywhere. And I was watching the news yesterday, and there's a guy in Australia, your people, guy in Australia waiting in line for already 24 hours for the new iPhone 6S release. What happened? How did that happen? I don't get it. But it's important. And they focus around the consumer experience, and that's where they put it well. I'm looking at the people in the room, and there's probably places you go to, and you spend more money just because of the service and the experience you get. It might be where you get your hair cut. It might be where you go to get a spa. It might be where you buy your car. You're willing to spend that extra money for that level of service. So how do we translate that back into digital and digital culture, which is what we're really talking about? And so because I assume you're not all engineers, let's look at the past. Let's look at this guy. This guy is Jim Henson. And for all of you who don't know who Jim Henson is, he created this guy and a bunch of other people. But he realized that a good experience is invisible. And there's all these great people in the room with cameras and headphones and binders and things, and I have a thing on my head. I told myself I'd never be this guy, but I'm this guy. But he understood that a good experience is invisible, and that you have to give the audience enough to work with, and they will do the rest for you. Like, look at this. I'm going to turn around this way so I can look at it with you. He has like this thing for working underneath your car that he hacked so it works the right way. He has a monitor. He was one of the first people to do that. Brought the monitor with them. He was doing all of this stuff because he needed to see what the consumer would see, because he realized that the end product was the most important thing. And I took out a bunch of slides from this. Like I said, it's a multiple-day workshop that I do with the team. But Kermit that you see there isn't the Kermit that he started with. He actually took a prototyping design methodology that we use today, and he iterated Kermit the Frog from 1954 to the Kermit Frog that we know today. There's about 5 different iterations. For the people who used to watch this, you remember that at one point, Kermit the Frog had a red scarf. And at one point, he didn't have the spiky necklace around his head, and he has a yellow mouth now, or a red mouth now. So anyways, back to the experience. And if you look, and this is where all the people in the room that you can't see right now, like this is going so smoothly today. Everything's kind of working, and I'm here on stage, and I don't know why, and you said nice things about me, and we don't even like each other. No, I'm joking. But what the consumer sees in that screen is that little thing. But look at, like, who's that guy? The guy with the thing on his head. He's standing right over there. He has the same things on his head. But he's making it somehow all come together. But the consumer doesn't see any of that. And they see exactly what they want to see on these channels that we're trying to figure out, what do we do now? I'm confused. So I have to skip forward because I don't have a lot of time. So how do we measure a premium experience, and how do we even know we're doing our jobs well? I'm an idiot, and I don't know anything. But I know that if the guy from Australia, the most sensible people on the earth, by the way, is willing to line up in advance for this product that isn't even out yet, let's just say, stake in the ground, a premium experience is one that people are willing to line up for. And we see it all the time with all the best products that are being released and put out there. So where are we in the state of the digital nation? So let's focus on content and experiences. And we can talk I drink beer, we drink coffee, whatever. We can talk a lot about how we do it and how we get it together, but I'm not here to talk about what I do right now at work. But focus on content and experiences and getting the contextually most relevant content to the people, regardless of the touch point that they're at. So if I am looking at a piece of content on my mobile phone, make sure it's for that mobile phone. And if I'm looking for a piece of content on social, make sure it's optimized for social. And if you don't have that content, don't do it. It sucks, and nobody wants to see it. And so it's not about how do we just kind of scale and mass produce everything for everywhere. The consumers are already out looking for what you're trying to sell them. Just help them out. Give them something to chew on. Anyways, and platforms and technology that are in place, they need to be able to do that, and they have to be open, and they have to be scalable, and they have to be future-proof. Like we were at Adi's flagship store here in Berlin. It was epic, and they are looking at some of the best platforms in the world with their different partners of how do you have people come in and experience these great things. This is a car company, but they understand that the experience is good, and so they focus on platforms and technology, not because we as companies want to do a digital transformation, because our clients are already there. We're just chasing after them, and we hope that they still do business with us in the future, and that's why we're focusing on this. And you got to engage, and you got to talk to people, and CRM isn't email marketing. CRM stands for something very important, and it's customer relationship management. And so all the things that we've been talked about putting people into segments, you can automate a lot of the things you want to do, and you could do it in there. From normal channels, including direct mail and DRTV and all these different places and call centers, all the way over to social media. And if it wasn't measured, it never happened. And you should start with that point always. Don't be blinded by it. A lot of people talk about big data. Don't get me started on big data. But you should always measure and make sure that everything is measurable. So, what are we going to do now? That's a very expensive question to answer. But what are we going to do now? We're going to put the consumer experience at the core of digital culture. It's not about us. It's about them. We're just the platform or the brand or the product or whatever it is that enables them to do whatever it is they're trying to do. So I promised somebody I would make this about football. So if I was in my Uber car and went into my Airbnb home and I got to choose it and it was seamless and it was amazing and I don't have to deal with any paper or money or anything, it just goes out of my account. And I go into Starbucks and I don't have to wait in the line. And all this is about the consumer experience, and then I have to walk into a football stadium. I'm comparing you to every other experience that I just had today. And so how does that rank? And so should you have Wi-Fi in your stadium? Yeah, of course. Should you have it's like, should there be electricity in the stadium? Of course there should be Wi-Fi in the stadium. But if you don't have it, I'm going to still go on 4G and complain that there's no Wi-Fi, but then I'll forget about it. So just move on. I was going to go on a rant. So how do we fix this? Well, we don't. We collaborate. The person who's going to follow me speaking today is somebody that we've actually been following for probably close to a year now. Not we, Adidas, that's just creepy, or me, that's even creepier. But a group of people that follow different startups and interesting things that they do, they understand who's out there and what's going on. And I don't want to figure everything out myself because I'm not in that business. And even if we're huge and we know all these different things, we blindly think that we have all the answers internally. Don't outsource it to huge agencies. Like there's Deloitte's out there and those guys, and I'm sure they do great work and they could do some serious number crunching and pull out big things, but I would rather work with an individual, you. I'm going to point at you. This guy, he's super good at design, blah, blah, blah. So why am I going to hire an agency and work with all these different people and spend all my money on when I just want to work with that guy? And as the people that we are in the room working for the companies we're working with, we have that privilege that people also want to work with us. So anyways, long story short, collaborate. Do more with less. You don't need huge teams. You don't need org charts and big structures. You need a couple of people who are willing to do stuff and see how it works out and how it monetizes later. And why is this important? Because nothing good ever happened because of big budgets, big teams, and lots of time. And I'm certain that most of our companies are trying to tackle these problems with big budgets, big teams, and when they say, how long do you need to figure this out, you give them lots of times. and you want to innovate, because innovation is a great equalizer. It's what I refer to, or lots of people refer to, as the Red Queen syndrome. So the book Alice in Wonderland, there's a moment in the book where you have to run. Alice and the Queen were running, and you have to run as fast as you can to stand perfectly still. And that's exactly what it is in this age. All of our competitors, who aren't the other guys, and I don't know why I say the other guys, who aren't Nike and Under Armour, they might be spending the same money as me, but they're not my competitors. I'm up against everybody now because we've decided that consumer experience is the center of it. But if everybody's spending the same money as me, how am I going to get ahead? Like, how are any of us going to get ahead? And it's through those innovations that we will get ahead. So you have to set up the right foundation to make sure that those things happen. It's a big task. And you have to be okay that you don't know the answer. Don't even get 80% of the way there. Just start. Go in a direction. Try stuff out. It's going to cost a lot less. It's going to cost a lot less to spend 100 euros, and let's pretend 100 euros is 10,000 euros or a million or whatever that number is for you. It's going to cost a lot less to just try to do something in an area and then iterate, and then design again, and then iterate, and then design again and iterate. Even Jim Henson didn't have Kermit the Frog figured out, but we all know who he is, and he's gone, but we still remember him. And do stuff. Get involved. Be an artisan. I don't even know if that word translates to English. I'm sorry, it's a French word. But make stuff that people will line up for, because that's the only way in today's society that I actually know if something's working or not. And that's all I got. So thank you.
Thank you.